I want to talk about something that's given me peace in my life, that's helped me um, just sort of get through life uh, and come out a good person, or at least I feel like a good person. Like I feel in my heart like I'm a good person, and I feel as if I am right with God. And this has to do with faith. If you don't have faith that there's something greater than this life, something greater than yourself, then this doesn't really work. This doesn't really matter. If you don't have the idea that there's something greater than this life, then it doesn't really matter what you do in this life. It doesn't really there's no real weight to it. It doesn't matter. But when I see people get ahead, when I see people get wealthy, when I see people get what they desire, I always look at my life, and I look at all the opportunities that I got to do something like that, to get ahead, to get something. And I realized how many of those little or big opportunities required me to sacrifice a part of my integrity, a part of my beliefs, a part of my morals in order to achieve that. Whether it's big or small, you get so many opportunities to give something up for something else, something that has to do with your heart, that has to do with your soul. And like I said, that has no relevance to you unless you believe there is something greater. But what gives me peace about that is I may lose out on opportunities in this life. I may lose out on opportunities, on fun, on money, on things. I may lose out on those opportunities. I may say no, or I may keep myself from things like that. But I know and I feel that deep down in my heart, in my soul, and with God, that I'm good. I feel like I haven't given up any part of myself, and that brings me peace. And when you think about things like that on a daily basis, you watch other people and you watch their actions, you watch what they say, about other people, about themselves, and you start to see how much they actually give up of themselves. And a lot of it is super normal, and you see a lot of it on the internet, and particularly with something like OnlyFans. I think, in my opinion, I think that everybody instinctively deep down, and the same thing with porn, I think everybody instinctively deep down feels that there's something wrong with that. And I see all of these women getting rich, and getting insanely rich really fast. I mean, they don't have to work, even though that is sort of their work. But I see that, and from a certain perspective, you can be like, wow, oh my gosh, you were so lucky, you were so fortunate. You got all of this, you got all of this. But there had to be something you gave up. There has to be. And not just, philosophically, but a part of me feels that. And I feel even people without their faith, I feel even they can feel that. I can feel even a salesman. I look at people like salesmen, and I think, did you have to lie? Did you have to deceive? Did you have to swindle? Did you have to do things like that in order to get what you have? In a conversation with people, did you have to give up what you actually thought, what you actually felt in your heart? because you wanted to agree with whatever everybody else was saying, because you wanted to be accepted. That you have to go along with what your friends or your family was doing because you wanted to feel accepted by them. Because I think in all of us, there's a certain feeling that we know when we give up something from God. And you know, I don't like saying that word when I'm trying to be preachy like this, because I think that throws people off. You know, I think they hear the word God, I think they hear anything related to a religion, and I think they think you're ignorant, or I'm ignorant, that I've never thought about anything other than God. You know, because that's what I thought for a long time. And there certainly are people who preach about God and who preach about this and that, who really have no real connection, no real merit towards it. But I've gone through my life. I've gone through my life, and I've not believed in God for the longest time. You know, when I was a kid, I grew up Catholic, and throughout time, as I was growing up, I was like, this is ridiculous. There's no evidence. There's these evil atrocities that go on in the world. You know, maybe that's another video for explaining what brought me into my faith. But regardless, I am at this point now. And I look at things because I do desire money. I do desire status. I do desire things. But I look at how I can get to those things and all of the options that I can get to those things. And there's so many easy ways to do it, where you just sacrifice your soul. You sacrifice the perception of yourself. And it's not worth it. I could go through this life being broke, being not loved by anybody, not seen as the cool guy, the fun person. I could go through this life and I could get none of those things, and I still feel in my heart that I'd be content. I would be so content. In fact, I'd be happy with who I am, as long as I feel like I'm right with God, as long as I feel like I've kept my soul pure through all of it. And when you come across other people, when you come across the world, when you put yourself into the world's going to feel that soul is going to reverberate through time, because really it all matters. It matters so much. And when you start to live your life like that, a lot of people aren't going to want it. They're not going to want to be around you. They don't want to listen to what you hear. They don't want to listen to your opinions. They don't want to listen to what you have to say, because they just want to live how they want to live. And that's okay. That's your journey. That's your learning. You're going through it. You're experiencing life. But I don't want to live through me. I want to live through what I believe in. I don't want to live through my desires. I could care less. I don't want to live through my desire for money, my desire for status, and my desire for things. I don't want to live through that. I want to live through something greater than me. I want to live through purpose. I want to live through God.